In today's episode, we're going to be talking about I Am Legend while I go caving and make our new friend a pond in our Minecraft world. Spoilers ahead. I've seen quite a few Will Smith movies, but this one's my favorite. It's got well-paced action, beautiful acting, and generally has a lot more soul than other zombie movies. And before I get nasty comments, I haven't read the book yet, but I do know the Darkseekers are vampires, not zombies. I Am Legend is a 2007 apocalypse movie that follows the story of Robert Neville and his dog Sam. It opens with Dr. Alice Crippen in an interview talking about her miracle cure for cancer. She explains that her cure is genetically engineered from the measles virus and has no negative side effects. And then we cut to black. After the brief moment of black, we open on a city, covered in vines and shrubbery, water where it shouldn't be, and almost complete silence. We follow the camera around town a bit longer, slowly realizing New York City, one of, if not the biggest cities in North America, has toppled. Despite New York City being in shambles, life has almost reset itself. Humans no longer populate the earth enough to be the apex predator, and animals such as deer and lions have begun to thrive in old cityscapes like New York. Perhaps KV was the reset the world needed. It was the plague that killed off the human race. Well, most of the humans anyway. Robert Neville still lives. We see throughout the film what makes up Dr. Neville. He's a military virologist that feels personal responsibility over Manhattan, staying at ground zero to help reverse the spread of KV, but he's also a survivor and a family man. During the day, Robert hunts for food, whether that's going to other people's houses or shooting deer. He also goes down to movie stores talking with mannequins to help keep in touch with people. But the most important thing he does during the day is A. Rodent trials. He tests different candidates for cures on rodents, picking any that may work. And B. Broadcasting on an AM frequency, hoping that someone will hear it, keeping him company and in turn keeping them safe. He then waits at the South Street Seaport for a few hours before heading home. On one of these days, he spots a deer and Sam chases it into a dark building. This is the scene where we learn of the Darkseekers. Before we knew, Robert and Sam locked themselves in their house, making sure to be home well before sundown. But now we know why. UV rays are lethal to the infected, which is why they hide in the dark buildings during the day. After a little while, Robert finds Sam and quickly leaves the building. He then sets a snare trap and uses his blood to bait an infected into it. He commences human trials on his newly found female, where at first she seems to be doing well, before flatlining and being resuscitated by Dr. Neville. He then keeps her cool with ice to help improve the effectiveness of the possible cure. And all this sounds like a pretty basic action thriller plot, but I Am Legend has so much more to offer. I was just saving the best for last. I Am Legend is an action thriller with heart. Dr. Neville has lost everyone. His wife and daughter were killed in a helicopter crash right in front of him, holding on to Sam, the dog given to him before they passed away. KV, what was supposed to be a miracle cure for cancer, instead killed anything and everything Robert held dear. He even loses Sam to KV. On his birthday, Robert goes to the movie store and gets embarrassed by the attractive mannequin, promising Sam that he'd talk to her the next day. But while doing his rounds, Robert sees Fred, one of his mannequin friends, and gets closer, trapping himself in a snare similar to the one he used on the female Darkseeker. After escaping the snare and experiencing possibly the most real-feeling knife-in-the-leg moment I've seen on film, Robert and Sam have to escape 3 infected dogs released by the male Darkseeker. They narrowly escaped the dogs, but Sam was bitten and mangled pretty bad. In the saddest scene in the movie, Robert sings their song 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley as one final goodbye to his best friend, the only friend he's had for 3 years.
I was up this morning, rabbit, and fun. Little birds.
Robert gives up after he loses Sam, so after he talks to the attractive mannequin like he promised,
Promise my friend that I would say hello to you today. Hello. Hello. Please say hello to me.
he goes to the port to kill a bunch of infected, and in turn, himself. However, he is spared by Anna and her son Ethan, who heard his message and waited all day for him. And even though Robert tried staying sane with the help of the mannequins, he has still lost his hope in humanity. Anna wants to go to a survivor colony in Vermont, to which he denies because he doesn't believe there is even a slight possibility of anyone being alive, despite Anna and Ethan being there in front of him.
There were 6 billion people on Earth when the infection hit. KV had a 90% kill rate. That's 5.4 billion people dead, crashed and bled out dead. Less of 1% immunity. It left 12 million healthy people like you, me, and Ethan. The other 588 million turned into your dark seekers. And then they got hungry and they killed and fed on everybody. Everybody. Every single person that you or I has ever known is dead!
And because Anna brought Robert home while it was still dark, there is a very real possibility there will never be anyone, and the cure will be lost, because the male Darkseeker and his clan have found Dr. Neville's home. Which leads us to possibly the most criminal deleted scene in movie history, the alternate ending. I'm now going to play the theatrical ending and compare it to the alternate ending. The music in these scenes is copyrighted, so I'm gonna have to put some copyright-free music over it. But just enjoy the scenes and we'll talk about it after. The alternate ending to me feels so much more significant. It's a shame the filmmakers chose the explosion route over the heartfelt one. As seen in the Shelter animated comic, which were all great, I highly recommend you check those out as well. The Darkseekers are not monsters. KV has simply altered their perspective. The infected are simply hungry, sick, and in a lot of pain. Their infected brains now view the uninfected as food. In the same way Dr. Neville sees the deer as his meal, a necessary kill for survival, the Darkseekers see the uninfected as their dinner. This alternate ending shows a mutual understanding between the male Darkseeker and Robert, that they aren't monsters. They want to live in peace. Robert wants his life back, and the Darkseeker wants his girlfriend back. The Darkseekers aren't unintelligent, mindless vampires. They can create traps, understand that Robert had a connection to Fred, the mannequin, and have feelings of pain and grief. The animated comics that come with the disc all show other parts of the world, each with a different perspective on KV. Death as a gift shows that some would rather die than live alone, and who could blame them? It seems as though there is no hope to keep on going, so why try? Isolation follows John Edward Lord, who believes that there comes a point in time that humanity cannot and should not be saved. Sacrifice the few for the many shows that the uninfected stops treating those infected as humans the moment they start behaving differently, and that killing them could have all been for nothing. Every comic shows that not seeing the other side's perspective could have dire consequences. It really is a shame we got the ending that feels half-hearted, because I Am Legend could have been so much more, but I still recommend it to the highest degree. I'm for sure going to visit the book soon, and maybe my perspective on the film will change, but until then, that sums up my thoughts on I Am Legend. If you enjoyed today's video, I ask you drop a like and share with your fellow movie lovers. And if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and see what you think. Your own opinion will always, sometimes, be more important than mine. Next week's video is going to be on the creator, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that.